Buried underneath the ice in Antarctica could well be stone temple constructions. There could be biological material, remains of beings that lived there and could still be there. It could be the greatest reveal in all of human history.
During a recent scientific exploration, a small drone flew over Antarctica, recording every second as it crossed into a place rarely ever explored. At first, the camera showed nothing but endless white ice and deep cracks stretching across the land. Then, something shocking appeared on the screen, shapes and patterns that didn't look natural. But the higher the drone climbed, the stranger the footage became. Experts watching the live feed paused, replayed clips, and struggled to explain what they were seeing. Soon, the video spread online, sparking wild theories across the world. Some people believe the drone may have captured something alien. Yet one question keeps arising. Is the government really hiding something beyond the ice wall? Join us as we explore the mysteries of the most unusual place on Earth. Antarctica's rising heat shock. In February 2020, Antarctica shocked the world with a temperature of 18.3 degrees Celsius, 69.4 degrees Fahrenheit. This place was known as Earth's frozen storage, a land of ice and deep cold. Yet it felt warmer than many busy cities that same day. Scientists watched in awe as a powerful heat wave rolled across the region for 9 straight days. The heat didn't stay still. It pushed through the ice fields and snow layers. Huge patches of snow began to shrink fast. The event forced researchers to rethink how quickly change could reach even the most remote and protected parts of the planet. During that same heat wave, Eagle Island lost almost 1/5 of its snow cover in only a few days. NASA satellites followed the damage from space and captured shocking images. Pools of water appeared everywhere, spreading across the surface like dark spots on white cloth. The melting looked like a fast-moving film, where winter disappeared frame by frame. Experts who studied glaciers stated that such rapid melt ponds were usually seen in Alaska or Greenland, not in Antarctica. The speed of change showed that rising heat could break long-standing patterns and make scientists question what areas were truly safe from warming. 5 years later, the story took another turn as technology stepped in to explore the icy continent. Instead of sending people into dangerous zones, scientists began to rely on advanced drones. One of the most powerful machines was the Wind Racer's Ultra, created to travel long distances while carrying heavy research tools. It could fly over 620 miles and carry about 220 pounds of equipment. Even more surprising, it used far less fuel than normal aircraft. This allowed research teams to gather valuable information while reducing risk to human pilots and cutting down the environmental impact of long missions. These drones became essential tools for studying Antarctica's changing environment. They measured ice thickness, traced animal movements, and checked areas where climate changes were most visible. Scientists used them to observe penguin colonies from a safe distance and to map fragile coastal zones. Norway's Norse Research Center showed strong interest and purchased 2 units for future research seasons. The machines helped teams collect large amounts of data quickly and safely. By flying over regions that were hard to reach on foot, they provided new views of the continent and helped researchers understand patterns that were once hidden. Despite the excitement around scientific drones, strict rules remained in place for visitors. The International Association of Antarctica Tour Operators banned recreational drone use completely. Officials explained that flying personal drones could scare wildlife, disturb nesting birds, and spread harmful microplastic particles. A crashed device could damage fragile ecosystems that took years to recover. Because of these risks, only approved scientific missions were allowed to capture real aerial footage. Many dramatic clips seen online turned out to be fake, or edited scenes created far from Antarctica, making genuine research footage more important for understanding the truth. A surprising viral story drew attention to Antarctica in 2024. A YouTuber named Jaran Campanella traveled more than 14,000 kilometers after spending about $37,000 on a personal mission. He wanted to prove that the idea of non-stop daylight in Antarctica was false. After arriving and filming for several days under a sun that never disappeared below the horizon, he faced a moment of change. His recordings showed him standing on the ice, realizing that his earlier belief did not match reality. The video spread widely online and led many viewers to question long-held myths about the continent. However, in September 2025, new scientific reports delivered another wave of concern. Researchers warned that around 60% of Antarctica's ice shelves could reach dangerous levels of instability by the year 2085. Earlier predictions expected slower changes, so the updated data felt alarming. Ice shelves can break apart suddenly when weakened by warm water and rising air temperatures. The collapse of the Conger-Glenser ice shelf in 2022 showed how quickly events could unfold, as a massive structure that once appeared strong fell apart in just 9 days, leaving many experts shocked. The collapse also changed how scientists viewed East Antarctica, once considered more stable than other regions. Ice shelves float on water, so their loss does not directly raise sea levels. However, they act like walls that hold back large glaciers behind them. When these walls weaken or disappear, the glaciers can move faster into the ocean. Thwaites Glacier alone has the potential to raise global sea levels by more than 2 feet over time, while the entire West Antarctic ice sheet could add much more across centuries. As researchers work to understand the speed and scale of these changes, one question remains: is there really a giant barricade in Antarctica? The truth behind the Great Ice Wall. Many people online talk about a huge ice wall around Antarctica as if it is a giant barrier hiding unknown lands or strange secrets. In truth, the real structure is a long chain of floating ice shelves that lines about 75% of the continent's coast. These shelves are huge natural formations created where powerful glaciers move slowly from land into the ocean. As the ice pushes outward, it spreads across the water and forms thick frozen platforms. Some of these walls rise around 150 to 200 feet above sea level, while much larger sections stretch deep under the waves. When ships approach the coastline, they see bright white cliffs that look endless and smooth. The shapes can seem unreal because the frozen surfaces shine under the sun and reflect light in strange ways. What looks like a solid barrier is actually moving ice that shifts, cracks, and changes shape over time as the climate and ocean currents continue to evolve. One of the most famous examples is the Ross Ice Shelf, which is almost as large as the entire country of France. Standing near it can make people feel very small because the ice stretches far into the distance without any end in sight. Photographs and drone footage often show massive white cliffs meeting dark ocean water, creating a dramatic scene that feels like something from another planet. Because of these strong visuals, some viewers imagine that the shelf is an edge of the world rather than a natural formation. The wide open views, the lack of cities, and the absence of trees add to the mystery. However, scientists explain that the Ross Ice Shelf is simply frozen water formed over thousands of years. It floats on the sea and slowly changes shape as glaciers feed more ice into it. The surface may look flat and perfect, but deep cracks and moving layers show that it is alive with constant natural motion. The internet has played a big role in turning these natural ice shelves into stories about hidden borders. Many viral videos focus only on aerial shots of smooth white cliffs dropping into dark water. When people see only these images without context, it can be easy to imagine an icy rim around the planet. Some online maps even show blurry parts across Antarctica, leading to questions about what might be hidden there. But the explanation is much simpler. Satellites follow fixed paths around Earth, and many of them pass over regions with heavy population or strong commercial interest more often. Antarctica has few permanent residents and very little business activity, so there are fewer high-detail scans. When mapping programs fill the gaps, they sometimes use low-resolution images that appear blurred. This is not secret censorship, but simply the result of limited data collection and the technical limits of satellite coverage in remote polar regions. Another part of the mystery comes from the Antarctic Treaty, which many people hear about without fully understanding its purpose. More than 50 countries signed this agreement to prevent military activity, nuclear testing, and large-scale mining across the frozen continent. Because the treaty limits certain actions, some viewers imagine that powerful nations are hiding secret operations there. But in reality, the agreement was created mainly to protect the fragile environment and to encourage peaceful scientific research. Since 1959, the treaty has helped keep Antarctica free from armed conflict and heavy industrial damage. Instead of becoming a place of competition, the continent turned into a shared research space where scientists from different countries work side by side. They study climate patterns, wildlife behavior, and ancient ice layers to learn about Earth's history. The strict rules help keep the land clean and protect animals like penguins and seals from human disturbance and pollution. Despite strict environmental rules, Antarctica is not completely closed to visitors. Every year, more than 56,000 tourists travel there on guided trips that follow careful eco-permits. Adventure travelers ski across frozen plains, photographers capture images of glowing icebergs, and scientists conduct experiments at research stations scattered across the continent. Even the South Pole Station, located over 1,200 kilometers inland, is still active throughout the year. Cargo planes land on ice runways, bringing supplies, equipment, and fresh food for the staff. The people living there share videos online of everyday life and normal routines, showing that Antarctica isn't held by secret forces. The truth is, it is a harsh but open place where teamwork and science guide daily activities. Life there may be cold and remote, but it is filled with human presence and ongoing discovery. While myths continue to spread online, real scientific missions often reveal stories far more dramatic than fiction. A few weeks before its planned retirement, an advanced autonomous submarine named RAN disappeared beneath a massive glacier known as the Doomsday Glacier. The vehicle cost about $3.6 million and was designed to travel under thick ice, where humans could not safely go. Unfortunately, contact was lost. But before the loss, the submarine sent back rare footage that amazed researchers. Its cameras captured strange ice formations shaped like giant frozen drops, stretching more than 1,300 feet in length. Even more surprising, scientists were able to identify signs of a rainforest ecosystem that had existed around 90 million years ago, before becoming sealed under layers of ice. The discoveries showed that Antarctica still holds powerful clues about Earth's past and changing climate, hidden beneath its frozen surface. But what happened to the submariner during exploration? Secrets beneath the Doomsday Glacier. Many stories about hidden secrets in Antarctica began after a huge mission called Operation High Jump in 1946. It was one of the biggest expeditions ever sent to the frozen continent. The United States Navy sent about 4,700 military workers, along with 13 ships and 33 aircraft. Over time, rumors grew online and in books. Some people claimed the mission was searching for secret Nazi bases or even crashed alien machines. These stories sounded exciting, but they slowly replaced the real facts. The truth was much more practical. The military wanted to learn how to survive and operate in very cold conditions while also testing new equipment and navigation systems. During the mission, the Navy focused on mapping large areas of Antarctica that had never been carefully studied before. Their goal was to chart up to 1.5 million square miles of land and ocean. Crews practiced building camps, flying in freezing storms, and moving heavy supplies across ice fields. They also tested how ships and planes performed in harsh polar weather. When the expedition ended, they returned with radar data, weather notes, film recordings, and many official reports. None of the material showed secret weapons or hidden bases. Most of it was normal military paperwork and research notes that helped scientists and pilots better understand life and travel in extreme environments. Even though many myths faded with time, Antarctica itself remained full of real mysteries. The continent is not hiding a giant wall or a border at the edge of the world. Instead, it holds ancient time capsules buried under thick layers of ice. Scientists have found meteorites that fell from space and stayed frozen for thousands of years. They have also discovered fossilized forests and traces of old ecosystems that existed long before humans. Some of these remains are tens of millions of years old. Each new discovery tells a story about Earth's past climate and living creatures that once walked across land that is now covered in ice. One recent story involved an advanced underwater robot called RAN. The machine looked like a long metal torpedo and was built to explore deep under Antarctica's ice where humans could not go safely. In February 2024, it traveled beneath the massive Thwaites Glacier, often called the Doomsday Glacier, because its collapse could drastically raise sea levels around the world. Such a rise could change coastlines and flood many cities. RAN was designed to gather detailed images and measurements from below the glacier, helping scientists understand how the ice was melting and shifting beneath the ocean's surface. RAN was not controlled directly by people once it began its mission. It used advanced computer programs, sonar maps, and sensors to guide itself through dark waters more than 1,500 feet below the ice. The environment is extremely harsh, with total darkness, heavy pressure, and freezing temperatures. As it traveled over 1,000 kilometers beneath the glacier, it sent back clear video and data. The cameras showed strange shapes carved into the underside of the ice. Some formations looked like giant teardrops and stretched up to 1,300 feet long. Scientists watching the live feed were shocked because they had never seen anything like these unusual structures before. The footage showed a hidden landscape that looked almost unreal. Waves of ice resembled giant sand dunes, and curved ridges reflected shades of blue and silver. Deep hollow spaces and swirling patterns revealed how powerful ocean currents had shaped the frozen ceiling above. Many researchers said the images felt like seeing a new world for the first time. One expert compared it to discovering the far side of the moon. The patterns proved that the glacier was not smooth underneath, as many older models had assumed. Instead, the ice was carved into complex shapes by moving water that flowed constantly under the frozen surface. Just as the research team prepared to bring the submarine back to the surface for its final dive, the signal suddenly stopped. The video feed froze without warning, and then all communication ended. There was no emergency alert and no location beacon to guide rescuers. Search crews launched helicopters and drones to scan the area for signs of debris, but nothing was found. Some scientists believed the robot became trapped under a shifting shelf of ice that closed around it. Others thought a sudden collapse sealed it deep inside narrow underwater channels. No matter the cause, the expensive machine was lost inside the same frozen world it had been exploring.
At the North Pole, it's near the South Pole where some serious scientific action has been taking place.
Before disappearing, RAN managed to send one last group of data files. The information confirmed that warm ocean water was cutting deeper into the glacier than expected. Strong currents were creating tunnels and carving unusual patterns into the ice from below. Similar discoveries had already been reported during earlier missions at the Dotson Ice Shelf between 2022 and 2024, where researchers found strange grooves and circular marks on the seafloor. Because of these findings, many older climate models had to be updated. In October 2025, scientists announced a new submarine called RAN-2 with improved sensors and artificial intelligence, ready to return to Thwaites and continue exploring the hidden world beneath Antarctica's ice. Meanwhile, there have been recent discoveries that remind researchers how Earth's climate has changed many times and can transform environments in ways that seem impossible today. The continent once held a lively biosphere with flowing water, growing forests, and changing seasons that supported a wide variety of living organisms. Meanwhile, let's take a look at some of these mind-blowing discoveries. An ancient world trapped under ice. Deep under Antarctica's Pine Island Glacier, scientists drilled into layers of frozen ground and pulled up sediment cores that stunned everyone in the lab. Inside those samples were fossilized roots, pollen grains, and tiny spores that were still perfectly preserved after millions of years. Under a microscope, researchers could clearly see individual plant cells and structures that normally break down over time. The discovery proved was the remains of a living environment that once grew on the same land, now buried under thick ice. The evidence pointed to something unexpected and almost unbelievable for a place known today as one of the coldest and harshest regions on Earth. The fossil material showed that a rich rainforest had existed near the South Pole around 90 million years ago. Instead of frozen deserts and endless snow, the land once held thick forests filled with tall conifer trees, large ferns, and early flowering plants. The climate was warm and humid, and rivers flowed slowly through dense green landscapes. Scientists found signs that the area supported a wide range of plant life, and likely many animals that depended on those forests for food and shelter. The environment was more like a tropical wetland than a frozen continent. Even though the region saw months of darkness each year, the warmth and moisture allowed vegetation to grow strong and remain active. Many people wonder how such a dramatic change could have happened. During the Cretaceous period, Earth had much higher levels of greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide. The thick atmosphere trapped heat and kept temperatures warmer across the planet. Antarctica was also located farther north as part of the ancient supercontinent Gondwana, so it received more sunlight during long summer days. These conditions created a stable environment where forests could survive year after year. Scientists from Imperial College London explained that studying these ancient plants gives insight into how powerful climate shifts can reshape entire regions. In October 2023, another research team used ice-penetrating radar to explore deep under East Antarctica. Their scans revealed a huge hidden landscape buried beneath about 1 mile of thick ice. The area was almost the size of the United State of Maryland and contained wide valleys, deep basins, and long mountain ridges. Some valleys are up to 25 miles across and 4,000 feet deep, shaped by powerful rivers that once flowed freely through the region. Unlike many places under glaciers, this landscape remained remarkably well preserved because the ice above moved slowly. Instead of grinding and crushing the terrain, the slow-moving ice protected it like a natural shield for more than 34 million years. Another major discovery came in November 2024 when researchers found the first known piece of amber ever recorded on the Antarctic continent. The small golden fossil was about the size of a thumbnail and looked like a clear drop of hardened tree resin. Inside the amber were tiny remains from ancient ecosystems, including moss fragments, fungal spores, and possible traces of insects. Before this moment, Antarctica was the only continent where amber had never been discovered. The find filled an important gap in scientific records because amber often traps delicate life forms and preserves them for millions of years. Further radar studies completed by July 2025 revealed even more hidden details. Scientists discovered networks of ancient river systems that once crossed the continent as far back as 80 million years ago. These rivers likely fed large basins filled with fresh water and rich vegetation. The shapes and patterns suggested that entire ecosystems once existed across what is now frozen desert. Researchers believe these ancient waterways helped support rainforests and diverse plant communities. The findings changed earlier ideas about polar regions by showing that Antarctica was not always covered in thick ice. Each new discovery under the Antarctic ice adds another layer to the story of Earth's past. Scientists now understand that the frozen continent has gone through dramatic transformations over millions of years. By drilling deeper and scanning farther beneath the ice, researchers continue to uncover signs that the planet can shift quickly when climate conditions change. As research missions expand and technology improves, scientists keep uncovering hidden landscapes, preserved ecosystems, and surprising fossils that challenge previous ideas about Earth's history. and the powerful forces that shape the world over long periods of time. Although there's one discovery that still amazes people. Blood Falls, the Red Mystery. A strange red waterfall pours from Antarctica's Taylor Glacier, and at first glance it looks unreal. Instead of clear water or bright blue ice, the flow appears deep red, almost like paint running down a frozen wall. From far away, it seems as if the glacier itself is bleeding into Lake Bonny below. The frozen cliffs stand tall while the red stream cuts through the white surface like a scar. Many people who see photos think the image must be fake or created with special effects, but this natural wonder is completely real. Scientists and explorers have visited the site many times, and the strange color has fascinated them for more than 100 years. The waterfall was first recorded in 1911 during an early Antarctic expedition. At that time, explorers had no clear explanation for the red color or the fact that the water kept flowing even in extreme cold. The liquid ran clear when it first came out from deep inside the glacier, but it quickly turned dark red as it reached the air. The stain spread across the ice, leaving long red streaks that looked like frozen paint. For decades, scientists studied the area but found no nearby volcanoes, mines, or sources of pollution that could explain the effect. The mystery grew deeper because the water did not freeze easily, even when the temperature dropped to -17 degrees Celsius. Between 2018 and 2023, new research teams used advanced tools and drilling equipment to study the glacier better. They discovered that the red waterfall did not come from melting snow at the surface. Instead, it flowed from an ancient lake hidden beneath nearly 400 meters of solid ice. This underground lake had been trapped in total darkness for at least 1.5 million years. The water inside was extremely salty, almost twice as salty as normal seawater. It also contained tiny iron-rich particles called nanospheres. When the iron-filled water reached the air, it reacted with oxygen and rusted instantly, changing color to deep red within moments. What shocked scientists even more was the discovery of life inside the hidden lake. Tiny microbes survived in total darkness without sunlight or oxygen. They lived under high pressure in thick, salty water, completely cut off from the outside world for countless generations. These organisms adapted to conditions that would kill most life on Earth. Their survival showed that ecosystems can exist in places once thought impossible. Researchers studied their chemical processes to understand how they produced energy without light. The discovery also changed how scientists think about life in extreme environments, including the possibility of life on icy planets or moons beyond Earth. In September 2025, new satellite studies revealed that Antarctica's hidden world was even more complex than expected. Scientists confirmed that the continent sits above at least 231 subglacial lakes buried under the ice. Among them, 85 were newly discovered active lakes that constantly drained and refilled. Some of these lakes behaved like beating hearts. Over several years, scientists observed 12 lakes completing full cycles, where water levels rose and fell. Each cycle caused the ice sheet above to lift or drop by several meters. These underground movements showed that the base of Antarctica is not solid and still but dynamic and constantly changing. The flow of water beneath the ice has a powerful effect on how glaciers move. When underground lakes fill and release water, they act like natural lubricants that allow massive ice sections to slide more quickly toward the ocean. This hidden movement increases the speed of melting and can affect global sea levels. Scientists now watch these lakes carefully using satellites and ground sensors because sudden changes can lead to rapid glacier shifts. Understanding these hidden floods helps researchers predict how Antarctica might respond to rising temperatures and warming oceans. Each pulse of water beneath the ice represents a piece of the puzzle in learning Earth's changing climate. One of the most famous hidden lakes is Lake Vostok, the largest known subglacial lake on the continent. It is roughly the size of Lake Ontario and sits buried under about 2.4 miles of thick ice. The lake has likely been sealed away from the outside world for around 15 million years. The pressure at that depth is extremely high, yet the lake holds more than 5,400 cubic kilometers of water. Scientists believe its oxygen levels may be far higher than those found in most oceans. Some theories suggest that geothermal heat vents on the lake floor could provide energy sources similar to deep-sea vents that support unusual life forms in other parts of the world. Researchers achieved a major breakthrough when they drilled deep enough to collect layered sediment samples from near Lake Vostok. Each layer acts like a page in a history book, storing gases, chemical traces, and possibly ancient DNA from organisms that lived long before modern humans existed. These samples could reveal details about past climates, ancient environments, and life forms that survived extreme conditions. The discovery raised many questions about how long ecosystems can remain active while sealed under ice. The continent continues to hold countless secrets in untouched environments waiting to be studied beneath its endless white surface. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.